Howdy, folks. Welcome to West America Facts, where we delve into the fascinating history of the American Old West. I'm Wade, and today we're about to embark on a journey back in time to explore a topic that's often overlooked: hygiene in the Old West. Y'all better hold on to your saddles, because this is going to be a wild ride. Now, when we think of the Old West, we often picture cowboys, saloons, and dusty trails. But have you ever wondered how people back then kept themselves clean in such rugged conditions? Let's dive right in. Life in the Old West was tough, and hygiene was no exception. Clean water was a scarce resource, and bathing was infrequent at best. Many folks would make do with just a quick splash of water from a nearby creek or river. Step back in time to the rugged, untamed landscapes of the Old West during the 19th century, a period marked by westward expansion in the United States. It's a chapter of history that conjures images of cowboys, outlaws, and vast open plains, but one aspect often overlooked is the primitive state of hygiene that prevailed during this era. Hygiene in the Old West was a fascinating blend of ingenuity and necessity, shaped by factors like location, social class, and access to resources. Imagine yourself in the midst of this historical frontier. The conditions and practices of hygiene varied dramatically from one dusty town to another. In some bustling boomtowns like San Francisco during the Gold Rush, rudimentary attempts at cleanliness were made, while in remote outposts, life was a grittier affair. Here's a closer look at some of the intriguing facets of hygiene in the Old West. In the rugged and untamed frontier of the Old West, the absence of indoor plumbing was a stark reality that defined daily life for its residents. Unlike the modern conveniences we take for granted today, such as flushing toilets and running water, the majority of settlements and homes in the Old West lacked these amenities. This fundamental lack of sanitation infrastructure had far-reaching implications for both the practical aspects of daily life and the overall health and well-being of the people who called this region home. Instead of the familiar indoor plumbing systems we use today, most Old West inhabitants had to make do with outhouses, or simply ventured outdoors to attend to their bodily needs. Outhouses, which were essentially small, often crudely constructed wooden structures, represented the closest thing to a private bathroom available at the time. These outhouses typically featured a hole in the ground, topped with a basic wooden seat. Waste would accumulate in the pit below, and it was the responsibility of homeowners or hired hands to periodically empty these pits. This unpleasant and unhygienic task was a testament to the harsh realities of life in the Old West. In the Old West, the availability of clean, safe drinking water was a perpetual challenge that had significant implications for the health and daily life of its inhabitants. Unlike the convenience of modern water treatment and distribution systems, communities in this era often had to make do with local water sources such as rivers, streams, or wells. However, the quality and reliability of these sources left much to be desired, creating a range of issues that shaped the daily routines of those living in the frontier. Local rivers and streams were commonly used as primary water sources for drinking, cooking, and other domestic needs. While these natural waterways provided a readily available supply, they were susceptible to contamination from various sources. Animal waste, runoff from mining operations, and pollutants from settlements further upstream all posed a constant threat to the purity of the water. This contamination increased the risk of waterborne diseases and made it necessary for settlers to take precautions when using such sources. Wells, another common water source, offered a more controlled means of access to water. However, even wells were not immune to contamination. The daily task of fetching water from these sources was labor-intensive and time-consuming, often falling to the responsibility of women and children. They would carry heavy buckets or containers over long distances to bring back the essential resource for their households. Regular bathing was a luxury that eluded many due to the scarcity of water and the harsh conditions of frontier life. As a result, people had to make do with infrequent baths, which had profound effects on personal hygiene, comfort, and health in this challenging environment. Water was a precious resource in the Old West, and its availability was often limited. Settlements and homes relied on local sources like rivers, streams, or wells for their water supply. These sources were vital for drinking, cooking, and other essential uses, leaving limited quantities for bathing. With the daily demands on available water, taking frequent baths was simply impractical for most people. Infrequent bathing also posed a heightened risk of skin infections and other health issues. Accumulated dirt and sweat could clog pores and lead to skin conditions like acne or rashes. In a time when access to medical care was limited, Such skin problems could escalate into more serious health concerns if left untreated. To mitigate these challenges, individuals in the Old West often had to rely on alternative methods for maintaining personal hygiene. Dry bathing with powders or cornstarch was a common practice to absorb sweat and reduce body odor. In the Old West, while soap was available, it was a far cry from the sophisticated and gentle formulations we have today. Soap during this era was typically homemade, and its effectiveness varied considerably. People primarily used lye soap, which, while functional for cleaning, could be harsh on the skin. In addition to lye soap, individuals also employed natural substances, such as animal fat and ashes for cleansing purposes, reflecting the resourcefulness of frontier life. Lye soap was a common type of soap in the Old West. It was made by mixing lye, a caustic substance derived from wood ashes or other sources, with fats or oils. This chemical reaction, called saponification, produced soap. However, the resulting soap was often harsh and abrasive on the skin. Lye soap had a reputation for being effective at removing dirt, grease, and grime, but it could also be drying and irritating, particularly when used frequently. People had to balance the benefits of cleanliness with the potential discomfort caused by the abrasive nature of lye soap. The use of such basic soaps and cleaning agents was indicative of the self-sufficiency and adaptability of the people of the Old West. They made do with the resources at hand, even if it meant using products that were less refined and potentially less gentle on the skin. In the Old West, dental hygiene was challenging due to the absence of modern tools and products. Toothbrushes were not common, and toothpaste as we know it today didn't exist. Many people suffered from tooth decay and tooth loss, as access to professional dental care was limited. Improvised methods like using twigs or simple pastes made from baking soda or salt were used for dental hygiene, but they were less effective than modern practices, leading to widespread dental issues. This highlighted the importance of proper dental care and the challenges faced by those in that era to maintain their oral health. The lack of proper dental care and hygiene practices took a toll on the dental health of many individuals in the Old West. Tooth decay was a common problem, often leading to pain and discomfort. Without access to regular dental checkups or professional treatments, many people resorted to extraction as the only solution to severe dental issues. This resulted in widespread tooth loss, and by modern standards, many individuals from this era would have had incomplete sets of teeth. In the Old West, infestations of lice and other parasites were a common and persistent problem, primarily because of limited access to clean clothing and bedding. People of that era frequently had to grapple with these bothersome pests, which added to the already challenging conditions of frontier life. Clean clothing and bedding were luxuries that not everyone could afford or readily access in the Old West. Lice infestations, in particular, were prevalent. These tiny insects would make their homes in clothing, bedding, and even on the scalp, causing persistent itching and discomfort. Lice could quickly spread within families and communities, making them a persistent nuisance. Beyond lice, other parasites, such as fleas and bedbugs, were also common culprits in the Old West. These insects could infest mattresses and bedding, making a good night's sleep a rare luxury. The discomfort caused by these infestations was a constant reminder of the harsh and challenging living conditions of the time. In the Old West, medical care was notably inadequate due to limited medical knowledge and resources. Unlike modern times, there were no antibiotics or effective treatments for common infections, which pose significant risks to the health of individuals living in this era. The medical knowledge available in the Old West was far from what we have today. Physicians and healthcare providers often had rudimentary training and limited access to advanced medical equipment or medications. As a result, many common infections that are easily treatable today posed serious threats to individuals back then. One of the most pressing concerns was the absence of antibiotics, which are a cornerstone of modern medicine. Infections that we now consider routine and manageable, such as bacterial pneumonia or urinary tract infections, could become life-threatening without effective antibiotics. Surgery, when necessary, was a risky affair due to the lack of sterile conditions and advanced surgical techniques. Infections following surgery were common, and these could lead to severe complications or even death. Access to medical care was also a challenge in remote areas of the Old West. Many settlements were far from established medical facilities, making it difficult for people to seek treatment in a timely manner. As a result, injuries and illnesses often had to be managed with basic first aid and home remedies. If you enjoyed this trip down memory lane, be sure to hit that like button. Share this video with your fellow history buffs, And don't forget to subscribe for more captivating tales from the Old West. Thanks for joining us today, and remember, even though life in the Old West was tough, it's important to appreciate the luxuries and conveniences we have today. So, until next time, stay clean and keep exploring the past.